What is up, fishing fam? It's your boy Luis, or that boy Segoy on the gram. Today, we're gonna be talking about my favorite Gill swim baits. Here's a couple, and we'll get into a couple more. So, let's get into it. Alrighty guys, I have been whacking them with these gill baits lately. Found a couple bodies of water that I fish often. The forage is heavily gill. Now I'm kind of finding some spots I can throw these bigger gill baits, or, you know, definitely a gill presentation, right? More confidently in these spots. And yeah, I've done very well with these, and I got a lot of confidence in all these baits now. Before, really the only one I was fishing sometimes was the sleeper gill. That works really well for me because I fish around a lot of cover and stuff, so you know, you can get it in and out, and dragging the bottom with that guy. But these ones are all pretty much that next size up, except for the Union Gill Swimmer. Speaking of getting into it, the first one I was going to talk about is the Gill Swimmer 95 and the Kobuna. So these baits are pretty similar. I rigged these almost exactly the same. So that's kind of why I'm just lumping them together. And out of the packaging, here's the Kobuna. This one's been chewed. Got a lot of the paint missing there. And Gill Swimmer. The reason I say these baits are similar, I mean, this one is a line through Kobuna, and the Gill Swimmer is fixed. Other than that, they set up and fish the same, except for the size difference also. So this guy here, Kobuna, it came with a nail weight, and it's got a recess here. So one thing I was doing was, just to get it down, I just ran a CPS, right, with just a free rig weight. Or, I mean, you could really use any weight. I just wanted one that kind of stayed close. And then I just screwed it all the way up in there. You can see it's got a good anchor. You know, I skip and stuff with it. It still stays in there pretty good. And this was just to fish deeper. But one thing I found was, if you have cover that you know is like sticking out and you want to hit it coming from, like, swim underneath it from outside, I was able to kind of accomplish that. You know, like I said, accident, but you know, I figured out something. The side that you choose to run the weight on, like if I tie the line through on this side and I hook it over on this side, or if I have the swivel on the other side, this will let me, like, when I cast out, I can bring it, it'll swim just a little bit to one side. So if I want to get rid of that, I just get a weight that's tighter, right? Or I could just pull it out a little bit and then the weight would be hanging straight down. But if I bring it up real close to the body, I can maneuver it to, or manipulate it how I want the bait to swim. So like I said, a lot of times I'm fishing like these trees, it's got overhang, or maybe if like you just want to fish a wall, have it hug the wall, or, you know, I could see this having a lot of play is cliff ledges. You know, you can't see a lot of these rocks sticking out, right? So you could get this underneath, stuff like that. Really cool. I mean, you could just put a bigger nail weight in there too, if you just wanted to swim straight. But just like I said, some little trick I kind of picked up fishing this bait. Signal baits, all the swim baits are super soft. So you got a lot of action. Like you can go real slow with them. And then you have that line through to have a really good hookup ratio on there. I don't think I've lost a fish on this guy. And even, I've had some pretty small, not like a smallmouth or a fish with a smaller, you know, just build, eat this and it hooks them pretty good. I think that has a little bit to do with how soft that bait is. You know, they can collapse it real good. And then that Union Gill, like I said, isn't just very similar, but it's fixed. I was just running a Zappu nail weight in there just to get it down. And then the way this is made, it's kind of similar to another one I'm going to talk about, but solid, right? And then it's got a pocket up here, and it's got a foam tube in there. So what that does is it keeps the bait postured correctly, right? So even if I have that nail, or with or without the nail, it's gonna swim up correct. The other thing I kind of like about that foam is I was fishing this on some lighter line, like some 12-pound test, and with that airiness to the top of it, it was getting a really cool little roll and wiggle there, which I think is unique to this bait over some of the other gills in this size, right? Even though it's smaller, it had a nice wobble to it. Whereas I feel like a lot of the smaller gills, you just get the tail kicking and not so much the body movement. The hardware on there is pretty good. Caught a lot of fish on these hooks. I haven't had the need to swap them out. And nice thing, it's got like a little plastic insert in the body there for the hook to run in. So you're not putting the bait into the plastic of the body. And you know, each time you hook up or pull that hook out, you know, you're tearing your plastic. So I've caught a lot of fish just on this one bait, and I haven't had to, I haven't had to go to my second one yet that I got. So that's nice. The durability is always nice with a bait like this. So that's the Union Gill. Moving on. This is one we've talked about a lot. Honestly, the thing that caught my eye with this bait originally was these line ties on the side. And this is the Makatu Gillsoft. We have seen a lot of these baits this year or the last couple of years come with some line ties on the side. So you can walk or get the bait up against and work it against cover or a wall or, you know, whatever. So that originally is what got me interested in this bait, because I do fish a lot of walls, parallel a lot of cover, and the gill eaters, you know, I've said I found. So this bait, I was like, oh, I'm gonna take it out and they're gonna crush it on this wall. I actually have not yet to catch one using those side ties. I've gotten some swipes at it, but it's nice to have that option, right? Like I think I've gotten those couple bites thanks to those, right? I don't think I could have ran this bait as close without those. But honestly, I've gotten the most bites on this thing either on a skip, it's heavy, so I can get it as far as I could, like with a frog or a jig or something like that, and then just running it down lanes. I've also had some luck with it being as buoyant as it is, just kind of working it like a mag draft down the lane, give it a stop. And one thing I think this bait does very well with is like a slow or like a wake. So a lot of times I'll bring this bait and like a slow and a stop and a slow retrieve and a stop. And then every time I halt it, this bait has a lot of like, it's still on a pause, it's still got a lot of wiggle. So very lifelike. I've caught them just kind of pulling it over some tree branches, you know, I could see. These fins are I feel like it's not too snaggy, right? For having the treble hooks on there. The bigger body kind of helps it deflect off of cover. I have only thrown this bait straight out of the package. I've seen what some of the other guys have done. All I've ever tried is maybe a nail weight in there, but I like to throw this on straight fluoro. So I let the weight of the line on a long cast just get this bait down a little bit. It's big, so it's got the drawing power. I don't feel the need to sink it, right? I feel like it does well when a fish is looking up at it. It's got that subtle movements, the halting, and then the wake too, that tail makes a nice little wake with the rod tip up. Yeah, this one's pretty much straightforward, you know, not too much, or I don't really do that much to this one. And that's the Makatu Gillsoft. Alrighty, last but not least, definitely not least, this one's my favorite for sure. Well, this one's the most fun to fish. I think I've caught about the same quality fish on all three of these, or four, but just the way you can work this one is a lot of fun, and that's the Issei Gill Flat Swimmer. Issei, this is a brand I don't think gets enough attention. They make super dope hard baits, super cool soft baits. The soft baits, I pretty much have one or two with me at all times. Like I said, super underrated. Yeah, I've caught a ton of fish on this guy. Similar to that Gillsoft where it's real heavy, just under 2 ounces. This guy's also kind of built like that Union swimmer, like I was saying. So like I was saying, this one's got like that air pocket with the foam in there. It comes like that already. Whereas the Gill Flat Swimmer, this guy just has a pocket up here. You got to add your own foam. I've done it without foam and just sealed up the pocket, but what I've found works the best for me is I'll seal this up with a little bit of foam. The foam, just the length of the pocket, not, you know, don't stuff it extra or, you know, full or what, you know, it's got a little bit of air in there, but anyways, the foam, the length of the pocket, and then I seal it up, but I leave just a little pinhole in there. So if I'm fishing and I do want to get it down, I can just kind of give it a pinch, hold it under the water, and it'll fill up with some water. But then it still has that foam piece in there to kind of keep it postured correctly. Another thing I like about this guy is the front, well, the only hook is like the perfect spot for a quick change weight or like a grenade weight or something. So another thing I do, right, if I'm just trying to fish a little deeper, faster, in some current, stuff like that, just clip it right on the front there. And also, it's just like in the perfect spot where a lot of times when I kill it, like I'll fish with a 5 or a 10 gram on the front. When I kill it, that 10 gram will pull that bait down and forward. So even when I throw it out there and I bring it up and I kind of kill it, it'll have action on the fall, which is one thing unique about this bait. I've got bit on it a lot of the time, just burn and pause, or I can kind of get a slow walk on there. Some lighter line definitely helps with that. And like fast reel, like 8-speed. I just kind of give it some little twitches, but most of the luck I've had has been getting it just a little deeper than I am able to get that Gillsoft, and burn, pause, or, you know, twitch by like a, you know, a point of interest, like a log or, you know, overhang, stuff like that. The durability is really good on this guy. It's got like a mesh going throughout the whole bait. I did tear this guy up, but I probably caught, I don't know, 30, at least 25, 30 fish on this guy. So, and all sorts of, I caught some nice ones on this and some small ones. So that, sometimes those smaller ones or the bigger ones tear it up a little more. But like I said, I got a lot of life out of it, so no complaints there. Alrighty, so the gear I was throwing it on, the Kobuna needed just a little bit more of rod than the Union Gill Swimmer. That guy is at 1.5 ounces minus the weight I added. So it's got about almost 1 ounce on the other bait, the Union Gill Swimmer. So with that Kobuna, a lot of these paddle tails and stuff, I like running the Frogman, just like lighter duty swim bait stuff. It's got a good bend, right? When the bait's moving, and then it doesn't, it's not too fast that it's taking away from the action of the bait, but enough power to throw that little bit bigger swim bait. So that's why I like the Frogman. The Gill Swimmer needed a little bit lighter duty. So like I said, I was throwing it on 12. I think I was throwing it on the Flatside Special. I also thrown it on the Engrave. So jerkbait special would probably be dope too. Just a rod with a little more of give for some like a reaction or trouble type bait, because it's so small. I need that too. So like I said, I can get that rolling motion, and then combo that with the light line, right? So 12 pound on the Gill Swimmer. I think I was throwing 14 or 16 on that Kobuna. And then I got a rhodium or like a Tatula, just standard, nothing crazy. And then the Gillsoft, I was throwing that on the Monstrous. I talked about this rod before. This is becoming a rod I really enjoy throwing. A little bit bigger power than like a diffuser or that King Heavy, but a little more of a tip on there. Not as fast. So this bait, treble hook, I want it to wake. I want that bait to make, the tail, I want it to kick before it gets pulled forward, right? I want the bait to do what it needs to do before I'm pulling it away or out of the action. So that tip gives me what I need in this, and then I think I was just throwing like 18 or 20 pound shooter on this guy, and Tatula 200. That's a bread and butter right there. And then on that Issei Gill Swimmer, I was throwing, I like the King Heavy, just a little bit better. Because I'm doing those twitches, the burn and pause, I need that. I want a little bit faster to pick up faster. And then, I talk about the King Heavy all the time. Goes up to 1.5 ounces, but I always go a little over that, probably around 2 ounces. This rod feels really good. And then Zillion 1000, 8-speed, a little quicker than that Tatula, just because I want to be able to walk, twitch, that type of thing. So, and then that guy, same thing, 18, 20 pound shooter, typically. Alrighty guys, so that wraps us up. We're gonna have Jeff link everything down below that I talked about. If you guys have any questions, feel free to hit me up on the gram. I will answer whatever I can, help you out. Hope you guys give these baits a try. If you have some gill eaters around you, I guarantee you they'll produce. And some of these, like Gillsoft and the Issei Gill Swimmer, those baits have given me some of the craziest or like most violent blow-ups and eats with this style of bait. I've talked about the ratchet before, I like that, but that's, different class. I'm going soft. Pretty much these guys is like what I'm going for. Yeah, so wish you guys good luck and stay fishy.